pistol. My name is Brian Stephen Lawson.
Brian Lawson was accused of first-degree M for hitting his wife with the ooh-whop. His case was bound over to a grand jury. This incident was recorded on home video, and they eventually charged him with first-degree M and reckless endangerment. The child was standing there when the incident occurred. So Brian meets with his attorney to review the footage that led to this incident. Brian said he was sitting there waiting on her, so he went into the room to tell her they're running late, and she snaps. His attorney asked, "Is there a reason you didn't just defend yourself when she started putting hands on you?" He said he was scared to. Then they watched footage of his wife yielding a bat. She bangs it on the floor. Brian said because his foot is crippled, so she was letting him know what type of damage she can do. So his attorney asked, how many times have she pulled out the bat? He said 10 to 15 times, but she used her fist every time. Then his attorney lets him know that he'll have to explain why he had an internal security system. Brian stated he caught a girl whom been arrested before hitting houses, so they installed one in their home. He said he was abused for 10 plus years. He said the reason he never left was because of his son. He said she had weapons in the room also. Then you see when Brian goes behind the couch and get a ooh-whop. She had her son. It appears to be cool right now, and she's getting ready to leave the house. As of now, that's all the footage the prosecution handed over. Now Brian's lawyer investigates his wife's medical records to show that she's a substance abuser and had a bipolar condition. Those two conditions mixed together cause problems with violence. Furthermore, the report says people that have a bipolar condition or substance abusers are 6 times more likely to commit a violent act than an average person. And they have a document that says when manic, she abuses her husband. Manic is an episode of bipolar. So they end that meeting. Now his lawyer finally get the prosecution to release the rest of the footage. They're hoping to get evidence that proves his wife Sandra's drug abuse.
Can show that she's not an innocent victim. Her actions are as much as what led to the event as anything, if not.
They try to play the video, but it reads the file doesn't exist. The defense feels the prosecution is intentionally withholding the second part of the video, so they request and receive a motion hearing. Larry Boyd, the defense attorney, explains to the judge why couldn't they just have gave them the second part of the video the same way they handed over the first half of the video. Now the prosecution say they're not obligated to provide material that they don't believe is relevant. So the defense says it's relevant because it shows how many times a day she used. The prosecution said if she did it every day, what's the relevance of why he hit her 3 times with the ooh-whop?
A person who has a bipolar personality and who is addicted to any kind of opiate-type medication is 6 times more likely to commit a violent act.
So the judge rules in the defense favor and give the prosecution a time frame to deliver the footage. So while they're waiting, they re-examine the video leading up to the incident. Brian said the first clip is at 8:07. His wife is telling him what she gonna do to him. Then she grabs the bat. Their child is in the bedroom. Then she tells him no matter who comes through that door, they getting dealt with. You can see the child in the bedroom covering his ears from hearing the commotion. Then he said around 8:31, she brings Braden into the room. He goes behind the couch and grabs the ooh-whop. Brian states that he only did that for the protection of his son. Then he sits on the couch. She hops in his face again, starts swinging at him. Then he hit her 3 times with the ooh-whop. Grab Braden and call 911.
I need a man. She was with beating on me this morning. She had a baseball bat. She had time to hit me with it.
And that's all of that footage they have. Now, finally, the prosecution released that footage that they was withholding. So Brian and his lawyer starts reviewing that footage. You can see his wife in the back bedroom. She has the tool in her hand, sits on the bed and gets it in. Now she's sitting there all relaxed. But Brian said when she doesn't have it, she's totally different. So that's all they needed to see from that video. The lawyers take the video to the DA office and let them view it. After viewing it, a meeting takes place between the prosecution and defense. They put a deal on the table, voluntary manslaughter, and he'll be considered a lesser offender and only have to serve 20% of that sentence, which is 15 years, which means he'll go up for parole in 3, but that doesn't mean he will get parole. So Brian asks his lawyers, is that what they advise him to do? They tell him he has one of the strongest cases of acquittal they've seen, but it's ultimately his decision. So Brian takes the deal to spare the family the embarrassment of things coming out in the trial. He told the family he's sorry and expressed every level of remorse. He was sentenced to 15 years. Thank you for watching. Leave me some comments. Hit that like button. Stay safe out there. I'm done talking.
I'd just like to let the family know that I appreciate all their support, express every level of remorse that I have in my fiber to them.